Hey, good morning guys. Been thinking about this video for a little bit. It took me a while to get to it, and I had to do a little bit more thinking on it. There's a lot of videos out on what people carry for medical kits. I've showed, maybe not the contents, but I've showed my two different small medical kits that I carry in my packs. One I'll pull out and share with you in a minute, but it's pretty small, and I usually carry it in my scout pack or my haversack, depending on what I have. In my longer term kit, it's essentially the same kit as far as contents, there's just a little bit more of it. So I wanted to share that with you guys today, go over that a little bit, and again with the series just kind of go over how I think about things when it comes to what you carry in your kit medically. So stay with me and we'll get to it. Alright, so just to kick it off here, and I'm not trying to give medical advice in this video by any means. I do have quite a bit of medical experience, a lot to do with the military. So just to run down it real quick, I'm combat lifesaver certified in the military. Most soldiers are. That's kind of like a first responder type thing. I am CNA certified in Massachusetts. I've taken that course. I'm both wilderness first aid and CPR certified through a course that I took up in New Hampshire. I'm a PADI certified rescue diver, and also while I was deployed I did work a trauma bed for 6 out of the 9 months I was deployed. I volunteered at the CASH, which is a combat support hospital, and I treated anything from gunshot wounds to shrapnel wounds. I was fortunate enough to scrub in on a couple surgeries, so that was pretty cool. So again, I do have quite a bit of medical experience, probably more than the common man, so to speak. But again, I'm not trying to give medical advice in this video. I just want to share with you kind of the way I think of things when it comes to what you should carry in your kit. Now there's again videos on the internet, on YouTube, that share a lot of what people carry, and it's a broad spectrum of what people think they should have. There's people that think they could fix anything that happens with duct tape and a bandana, to the other end of the spectrum where people think they need a full-on trauma kit to carry with them. I'm probably somewhere in the middle there, a little more towards the lesser side of things probably, but I think you need a little bit more than duct tape and a bandana, and you certainly don't need a full-on trauma kit, and that's just my opinion. So in my scout pack, like I said, I've carried this thing for years. It's just a small kit, and it covers some of the things that I think you should have for common type problems, things that are more likely to happen to us, and that's pretty important. You have to base your kit around your individual needs first of all. So if you take medications for some type of, I don't know, asthma, diabetes, things like that, if there's medicine that you have to have, absolutely have to have, and you take on a regular basis, maybe multiple times a day, obviously that should be in your kit anytime you come out here. But barring all that type of stuff, let's just talk about a standardized type of kit and what I think you should have in there. You have to think about, again, the common problems, what's most likely to happen while I'm out here. And a lot of it is based around people not being used to being out here, like having a fire, for instance. If you go camping a lot, some of you can probably relate to this, if not most of you. You hang out around the campfire for a given period of time, the next thing you know, you got a headache coming on because that smoke's getting to you. You're not really used to that. Dehydration, obviously, headache goes along with that, and all the multiple what's the word? Lost my train of thought, guys. Symptoms, signs and symptoms of what could be wrong. So headaches are going to be a big one. both, you know, dehydration, smoke, not eating things that you normally would eat. Change in diet goes a long way and can cause you some issues. Nothing major really, but it's things you have to know and kind of base your kit around that. So the way I look at it, guys, is I want to carry things that alleviate these small common problems the quickest. So I know there's a bunch of medicinal plants and trees and stuff like that that can do things for me, but I think I've mentioned this in a past video. If I'm out here and I just get a slamming headache for whatever reason, whether it's the smoke, whether I'm dehydrated, I don't want to have to go look for a plant or a tree, process that down, make a decoction or a tincture or whatever it is to alleviate that headache. And more often than not, it's not going to do that great of a job at it. It will work, and you know, people over time have used all that stuff, but it takes time. So I want something that's just going to get rid of it, you know, instant gratification, if you will. So for as small as a Advil or a Tylenol is, you know, why would you not carry that in your kit? So I have aspirin in my kit for sure. And then going along with thinking about, you know, what do we do out here? What's the most common or likely thing that could go wrong? Well, we use knives and other sharp tools, and other tools in general where we could get cut or something like that. So we need to look at bandaging and things of that nature. So just a couple small band-aids for the little cuts. Not really needed, but again, for the size of them and what they weigh and how small they pack up, it's kind of a no-brainer to me. A couple band-aids, you know. Above and beyond tools, we know fire is very, very important to us. It does so many things for us. So what's the chance or likelihood of us getting burned at some point? Pretty common. So some type of burn cream. I just carry, again, a couple small packets. And this packet has all this stuff in it, and it's very, very small. So a couple packets of burn cream. Yeah, again, I could go out, you know, get some cattail, get the slime off the bottom and rub it on there. It's antiseptic and all that good stuff. Kind of works like aloe. Not as good, but kind of works very similar to that if you rub it on a burn. But what if there's no cattail in the area that I'm in? Like I'm by water right now and there's no cattail around here. So instead of having to go out and look for that, it's pretty convenient to just carry it, you know. And again, all these small packets being very small, I can carry these mitigations or whatever you want to call that to take care of these small problems. So antibacterial ointment, a couple small packs of that, put it on a cut, scrape, whatever the case may be, and I got that covered, so I don't have to worry about infection. What else I got in there? Burn cream, antibiotic ointment, band-aids, the Tylenol, burn cream. And that's pretty much it in there. I do have a small tourniquet type thing right in there. It's more for, you know, IVs and stuff like that, but it still works as a tourniquet. Not very well though, so we'll talk about that more in a second. Only other thing in there is a military pressure dressing or dressing, and it's got long tails on it. It's got the comes in a package, so right now it's sterile. Sheesh, having a hard time thinking of it. So it's sterile in the package. As soon as I open that thing, it's not sterile anymore, so I don't get too concerned about that. But I do have a dressing. You can use it as just a regular dressing at first. If you get, you know, a small cut with minor bleeding, you can increase that and make it into a pressure dressing after the fact, and that's just a matter of adding something else like your bandana to the top of the knot, putting a couple tails over that and tightening that down real good, and then you can go a step further and make it into a tourniquet. You know, put a stick in there or anything you have on you that will work to twist that thing down and make it a tourniquet. Alright guys, so simple little kit. I mean, that's pretty much it. Although, you know, I do carry a couple bandanas in my pack. I do carry a lot of cordage, both 550 cord, bank line, and I do carry duct tape. So all that stuff will definitely serve you for medical needs, but it's probably not the best tool for the job. Now, when it comes to, you know, IFAKS, FAKS, you know, individual first aid kits, stuff like that, I think it should be your first aid kit. I don't think you really need to worry about carrying things in case something happens to somebody else. That's just, you're gonna start overpacking your kit when you start doing stuff like that, and you don't really need to do that. I believe, just like we do in the military, everybody overseas carries an IFAK, individual first aid kit. I think the same type of rule should apply, you know, in what we do, in that your IFAK should be, you know, your IFAK. You should have all the things in there that you need and you think you need. Okay, if we're out together and you get hurt and I need to, you know, do buddy aid and help you out, if you're missing something and I have it, of course I'm going to use it. But you need to think for yourself and build your first aid kit around your needs. So, you know, if you have allergies, you know, bee sting, stuff like that, probably an EpiPen of some sort should be in your first aid kit. That's probably something small enough to carry where anybody could do that. But a standardized first aid kit, you know, for your needs, I think goes a long way. Something else that we did in the military, and I do it now, I've been doing it for a while, talking about the tourniquets just a few minutes ago, I carry one of those in my pocket. So again, yep, I have a bandana, I have a t-shirt, you know, as a last resort if I need to rip that thing off and make a tourniquet. And here's my problem with looking at it that way. If you need to apply a tourniquet, you have probably arterial bleeding. If you don't take care of that arterial bleeding, you've got about 3 minutes before you bleed out. So if it's on my arm, if I get the artery in my arm, I'm minus a hand now. So improvising a tourniquet there, probably not going to work out too well for me, doing it on myself. So yes, you know, the bandanas, cravats, whatever, shema, a lot of people carry, any of that stuff, you can improvise a tourniquet without a question. On somebody else is probably going to be easier. If it's to your leg and you can use 2 hands, yeah, you can probably do that as well. But where do you keep this stuff in your kit, and is it ready accessible for some type of arterial bleeding? Now, you know, there's a lot of different situations and scenarios. We should all be practicing knife safety, tool safety, so we don't inflict that on ourselves, but that's why it's called an accident. You know, different times of the year, could be winter time, slips, trips and falls and stuff like that, mechanical injuries, all that good stuff can very well happen. So in one of my pockets, just like we all did overseas, I carry a tourniquet. Now, the little stuff in my kit is good because it cures things instantly, you know, like Advil or Tylenol for the headache or whatever the case may be. Well, a tourniquet is going to do that for that bleeding, and I don't want to have to improvise this on the fly to myself if I don't have to. These things are fairly cheap. You can get them all over the internet. A good source I found for medical supplies is North American Rescue. They have a lot of good stuff. But these things are pretty cheap, pretty small, and it fits right in my cargo pocket. And there's a couple ways you can apply this and it be very effective for you. On the buckle itself, I'll just show you. There's 2 clips right here. Now, if it's your arm and you don't need a ton of pressure, you only need to go through one of those. So I can pull this thing with one hand out of my pocket put it on my arm. Cinch that thing down and start twisting. And the good thing about these, it's locked in there right now, I'll show you that. The good thing about these is it has what's called a Windsor clip right here. So after I'm done tightening it down, well, I need to secure that so it doesn't come undone. Well, if you put it right in that Windsor clip, then it's got another Velcro tab that just pulls over that so it doesn't come undone. So I can do that in probably less than a minute. Taking it out of my cargo pocket, applying it to myself on either arm, and I'm good. When you get to the leg, you're gonna need a lot more pressure. That's when you're gonna go ahead and go through the two buckles like I showed you. So you'd put this through the second buckle, get it up on your leg, and do the same thing. Tighten it down, put it in the windlass clip, and secure it, and you're good to go. Alright, so this is the pressure rod here that you use to spin on this particular one is plastic. So people have, you know, overseas try to put one of these things on, adrenaline rush, you know, they're in the heat of the moment, and you could tighten that thing down so much that you break that. So they do have ones with a metal rod that you're never gonna break. They're a little bit more money, but they're not outrageous. So again, that's just something I think should be in everybody's kit. Small tourniquet. Again, you can apply it to yourself pretty easily. You don't have to worry about trying to tie your bandana, you know, with one hand and stuff like that. This thing's already comes set up, immediate use. As soon as you pull it out, put it on, you know, adjust your strap, tighten you down, and you're good to go. So that's something I've gone to for quite a while now. It's just always in my cargo pocket, so I don't have to take my pack off, dig through my pack, find my medical kit. Even if that's ready available, this thing's right in my pocket, because if I need to use this, I need it right now. So just my thought on that, guys. And again, not medical advice here necessarily. Take it how you want. Theory behind tourniquets, and this comes from people that have, you know, had to have one put on. When we first started getting trained up on them, you know, once you apply a tourniquet, it doesn't come off until you get higher medical attention, which obviously is the ER or something like that. And it was said, you know, in the beginning when I first started training, 4 hours before whatever limb you're applying this to starts getting some type of nerve damage or something like that, possible chance of losing a limb. Over the years, they kept increasing that. The latest and greatest, if I remember right, is 12 hours. So you can have this on for 12 hours, totally shutting off circulation, and they can still save that limb. And that comes from dirt time, so to speak, and somebody suffered through something like that, so they can keep collecting this data for us. But a good rule of thumb for a tourniquet, when we first got trained on this stuff, you know, years ago, it was 2 inches above the wound and not on a joint. So if I had arterial bleeding just below the elbow, I'd place my tourniquet right above the elbow. If it was further down, you know, 2 inches above the wound, so on and so forth. Good rule of thumb for a tourniquet nowadays, because you have a couple bones in your forearm and all your main important stuff running between them. So to get a tourniquet on that and make it effective is slim to none, because all that stuff is protected between the two bones. Same thing for your lower leg. So the good rule of thumb for a tourniquet is high and on the injured side, obviously. So I got arterial bleeding anywhere down here, it's going all the way up as high as I could get it, and I'm shutting it off. You still have an open wound there, but now you can dress that, you know, with, you know, just a bandage, flush it out if you need to, whatever the case may be, get that thing covered up and protected. But general rule of thumb for a tourniquet, high and on the injured side. If it's on my leg, high as I can get that thing up on my leg and crank her down until the bleeding stops. Alright guys, so not a full in-depth on every single piece of a medical kit, but again, I just wanted to share this with you guys on kind of how I think about medical kits and what you should have in them at a minimum in your pack. I think the bleeding one's a little bit overlooked, as are, you know, just simple pain medicine for a headache and stuff like that. Again, you know, people think super glue, duct tape, and a bandana will cure all. I say no. And we just talked about what I think you should have in there at a minimum. And you can plus that up and size it down however you need. Again, IFAKS individual first aid kits are based on your needs and what you think they are, and what you want to carry. This was just my take on it and what I thought you should have, so I wanted to share that with you. So I appreciate your views, comments, and support as always, and we'll see you soon with another video. Take care, guys.